Hey guys, it's Radiant Breeze doing a Bloodborne PS4 exclusive review. Bloodborne is a dark, challenging, and phenomenal game. It's similar to the fantastic Dark Souls games before it, but brings new and immersive features to the table to make it feel worthy of its own series. Let's start this review off with Bloodborne's world. Bloodborne is a frighteningly dark game that takes place in a fittingly dark but mesmerizing world. Bloodborne's world is filled with some of the most intelligent and interesting world designs I've ever seen in a video game. It brings so much pure essence of dread in its world design that it truly makes Bloodborne a one-of-a-kind game. From the detailed gargoyles hanging atop the buildings of Yharnam and beyond, to the buildings themselves that intimidate you to go near them, it would be a crime for me not to say that Bloodborne's world design is as good as it gets. Next, let's look at Bloodborne's gameplay. Bloodborne's gameplay is fast-paced, unforgiving, and most of all, tons of fun. It takes time to get used to. Even if you're a Dark Souls veteran, you'll still have trouble using it. Eventually, once you do get used to Bloodborne's gameplay, I assure you that you'll have a blast with it. Bloodborne's head-to-head combat is fast-paced and has an absence of shields. This makes dodging essential in Bloodborne. Now dodging in Bloodborne takes up less amounts of stamina than it did in Dark Souls. There's a new creative feature in combat where when an opponent lands a hit on you, there's a short time period where you can hit your opponent's back and recover your health. Sure, this makes Bloodborne combat easier, but it livens up and makes your character feel like he's experienced in combat. The weapons in Bloodborne are far fewer than the amount of weapons in Dark Souls, but the variety of weapons in Bloodborne are a lot larger. In Bloodborne, weapons can transform into larger or smaller weapons. I believe this is a phenomenal feature that is worthy of Bloodborne. Another new feature in combat are the guns. Guns in Bloodborne are secondary weapons that I never really use. They don't do much damage, but they are used as a parry. These guns aren't a bad feature, but they certainly aren't a good feature either. Armors in Bloodborne look good, but are too few. Overall, the combat and gameplay in this Bloodborne is amazing. Now let's talk about Bloodborne's story. Bloodborne's story is very unclear and very unself-explanatory. What basically happens at the beginning of the game is you're infected with pale blood on the day of the hunt. Your goal is to find a cure to your pale blood. I enjoyed the story immensely. Not only was the story good, but the lore was extremely intelligent and jaw-dropping. The journey to the end of this game is mesmerizing, and I'll never forget it. Now to Bloodborne's graphics. Bloodborne's graphics are phenomenal. They're filled with detail and are mesmerizing. Bloodborne's world has a mixture of colors that work so well with each other that just looking at this game brings pure pleasure to my eyes. This game is locked at 30 frames per second, which isn't too bad. Bloodborne's audio. Bloodborne's audio is acceptable. It's not good, nor isn't it bad. Its soundtrack's alright. The voice acting was amazing and admirable. Now let's talk about the chalice dungeons. Bloodborne's chalice dungeons are repetitive and disappointing. The chalice dungeons are a waste of time and underwhelming in loot. I just didn't enjoy the chalice dungeons. Bloodborne's multiplayer is great. It is fun and is a feature that works. The only problem I have with Bloodborne's multiplayer is from software servers. They're not the best. In Bloodborne multiplayer, you can fight other players, or you can fight with other players, or you can go in another player's game. This is a great system that I immensely enjoyed. I love Bloodborne, and for this reason, I give Bloodborne a 9.4 out of 10. Amazing.